Hey guys, and welcome back. It's been a few days now since the loss against Manchester United in the Europa League, and I think it's about time that we analyse the game, where the club can learn from this defeat, move forward in these fixtures, in the future where we might be the underdogs. It's a big game, and the club can learn from this loss. And so let's get cracking with that. But before we get started, I want to quickly apologise for this extremely baggy Milan top I'm busting right now. These are from the non-tight Puma days of the club, so I thought I'd mix it up with a bit of variety. So yeah, let's get cracking. Looking at the first leg, Milan got an impressive 1-1 draw away from home with a crucial away goal to take home with them for the second leg. It was an impressive game. Milan looked the better side, I have to say, over the whole 90 minutes. I don't think Man United troubled us so much. They had a few opportunities from individual mistakes. They obviously got their goal as well from a sort of concentration lapse of Tomori, but I can't really put it against them. It was an impressive header that was taken by Diallo, I believe, the young kid, came from Atalanta. I think we deserve a lot more in this game. Kessie had a goal disallowed unfairly. It didn't hit his hand, and I don't think there's any evidence conclusive as to why VAR got involved for it. We deserved a lot more from this first leg, but nonetheless, we came out of it with an impressive away goal and essentially leading the game because of the away goals rule going into the second leg. Second leg, Manchester United started off the better side for the opening 15-20 minutes until Milan slowly got back into their rhythm of how they played in the first leg. Pioli's high-octane press and teamwork, keeping it tight, stopping any potential Man United counter-attacks and shackling up players like Bruno Fernandes was key to really stifling Manchester United. Once again, we concede a sloppy early second half goal to Paul Pogba, and essentially we're playing catch up again. But in the second leg, we just didn't have the players, and I just think it was a step too far asking these players from an injury-riddled team, especially in the offensive department where the injuries are just hampering us, to score another goal, and we just didn't have it in us really. And essentially we go out by one goal. And wonder what could have been. What could have been, if things just went our way, if decisions went our way, if players took their chances, if we didn't make mistakes, small individual mistakes in the defensive phase. It's a sort of question of what could have been. So yeah, looking at the coach, Stefano Pioli, in my opinion, did not put a foot wrong over these two legs. There's nothing I can look at his personnel selections, his tactical emphasis. It was spot on, in my opinion. The players selected were the right players, going into a certain form to back them up. The tactics following on from the Hellas Verona victory, where they'd done us so well, went into the first leg. They'd done us amazing. I feel like over the 180 minutes of over two legs, we were the better side. We looked more impressive. We were getting onto more loose balls. We looked more of the team with a bit more heart. Sadly, though, we just didn't have the quality in certain departments, and it's not Pioli's fault if certain players just don't take their chances. It's down to them. It's down to their lack of experience at this stage against certain big clubs. You have to take these chances because they will punish you. So Pioli, in my opinion, did everything right that he had to do. So I can't knock Pioli for his performance over these two legs. So looking at the players now, I don't want that last statement to be as if I'm bashing the players. The players did an amazing performance despite the uphill battle that they had. It's not Salamakers or Rade Krunic's fault that they're now having to be relied upon more because players like Ibrahimovic, Hakan Çalhanoğlu and Benacer, even Rebic are injured for these games. You'd like to think you'd have even half of those players ready for these fixtures and not always think like, the burden's going to be on your shoulders. But despite all this, they did really well because not only did they have to do so much in the attacking phase of the game, they had to be a well-drilled and organised team to keep it tight in midfield in the defensive phase to shackle up Man United's impressive players going forward. So, the players themselves, I can't slander them. They did really well, and mistakes are to be expected in certain moments of the game due to the quality that we have at our disposal. So once again, I could sit here and bashing Mate for his mistake on the Paul Pogba goal in the second leg, but at the end of the day, he had an impressive 180 minutes of the game. So overall, does one mistake really tarnish his performances? Not really, because it's bound to happen, and it just so happens that they punished us with that mistake. It is what it is. We could have done more to score. but the players just lack this experience in this one moment, and we need to really learn from it, and these players, I believe, will learn from it because they're young and they're hungry. So yeah, looking at the key moments of these fixtures, I have to say the first thing that comes to my mind is the Kessie disallowed goal. And I'm not saying this as a sort of cop-out to say that, oh, we would have won these fixtures if the goal was allowed, but I can't help but think, you know, for once, if we were just leading the game on the scoreline and forcing Manchester United to come on to us, we would have potentially created a lot more opportunities in the counter-attack in that first leg with players like Rafael Leao and his speed to expose, you know, Harry Maguire's and whatnot. And I just think, like, what could have been if that goal was allowed? You know, I feel like we had 2 goals in us in that first leg, and that was one of them. So, you know, taking a win or even a 2-2 draw to go to the second leg with us is so much more than the 1-1 draw that we had. And, you know, that's such a big moment for me. It's such a shame that it wasn't allowed, because it was a really good goal as well, and it was such a boost to the team's confidence. Equally, the moments as well, as much as I want to look at the positive equalizer from Simon Kjær, has to be the 2 Manchester United goals and the time that they come in. They score early on into the second half, and it comes right off the back of us both having 2 really good first halves in the first and the second leg, and it's such a killer. It's such a, you know, I hate to say it, a kick in the balls, because we're doing so well into the game, and all of a sudden, just that one moment, it's such a shame. It's such a shame, and I think Pioli knows this, because maybe it's just it's a mindset thing where the team just switches off. It started the second half, and I'm going to come on to this in a sec, because I've done a bit of analysis with the team in the recent games, and this is a consistent issue. So I think these are the moments we have to look at the most, where it's lapses of concentration, and we just switch off, and essentially these moments have killed the game off for us. So what can the team learn from these games? And it's really hard to do this video, obviously, despite the injury crisis that we have, because we have to look at this game with a pinch of salt, because this wasn't the perfect team we could have lined up. Equally, Manchester United had their own injuries, so it's one of them ones where, you know, if we had half the players back, could we have done a little bit more? If we had a certain, you know, ante if we had played devil's advocate here, if I could take one player from my midfield to be injured and just to have Ibrahimovic back, or just to have Ante Rebic back, or Hakan Çalhanoğlu back, that we could have scored and converted those chances. And it's really hard to look at these games and critique individual performances and the coach, because I think they were just spot on. It just comes down to what we can learn from these games, and it is to obviously try to be more clinical. We have to be more clinical as a team. We have to be a bit more just ruthless in certain moments in the attacking third. We know that we're not going to create these opportunities all game, and we know that we equally have a defensive lapse in us that could happen against these big sides. So we have to take these chances. That is the one thing we have to learn from these 2 fixtures. Despite who's playing on the pitch, I know players like Rade Krunic is a centre midfielder playing left winger, or even Samuel Castillejo playing as a centre forward and he's a right winger. Brahim Diaz, you know, they have to take their chances. They have to, because this is such a cutthroat moment of the season against these big sides. They'll do it, but if we don't, we're going to pay for it. So the team has to learn from this. But yeah, as I mentioned before, there is an interesting stat that I looked upon in our last 9 games, and I don't think a lot of Milan fans would have noticed it, but I have been noticing this recently, especially with the 2 legs against Manchester United, that concerningly, out of our last 9 games, 6 of them, we conceded goals at the start of the second half. And, you know, it could be just, could just be something that's just like, you know, coincidentally happening to us. But is it potentially the team's concentration? You know, we always have, we're known for having impressive first halves. The team is known for having very good first halves where they're, you know, full throttle, they're attacking, they're very sure defensively. But at the start of the second half, we have these, you know, lapses of concentration. And, you know, whether it's the Napoli game, the 2 games against Manchester United, even the goal that we conceded against Inter Milan in the 3-0 loss, the second goal for Inter Milan, the Lautaro Martinez goal in the counter-attack, essentially killed the game off for us and stopped any opportunity for a comeback. So we really need to learn how to manage the games a lot better. And is that Pioli? I don't quite think so. I think it's just players being naive, players being overzealous maybe in attacking phase and forgetting their defensive duties. the team needs to learn from this, and I think Pioli is going to be hammering it down on them, because we can't keep conceding goals at the start of the second half, which are potentially going to kill games off for us, even make games harder for us, get teams back into games where we're doing really well in the first half. We need to learn from this, because this can't keep going on. So yeah, the club has to learn from these performances against Man United and take it as a massive learning curve. You know, we could be potentially playing these teams again in the Champions League next year if we get towards it. So we have to finish the season strong. We have to get back to winning ways, being more clinical, having more players come back from injuries, and sorting out issues in the second half of games. So the team has to improve, and obviously we know that. We know this team ain't the finished article. It's a young and naive team in certain times. So yeah, let's keep going and let's keep supporting the team. Let's stay positive. You know, we're not gonna derail. We're not gonna fall off the wagon and lose top four. I believe in this team. I believe in the coach. I believe in the management, and I think we all need to stay positive in this moment. So let's keep it going, guys. Until next time, Forza Milan.